Hi, everyone. Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech. And today, Apple released iOS 26.3.1. Now, we were expecting this update since some people said that this update was confirmed to be released by Apple. And here the update officially is. Now, this update came in at 547.9 megabytes. That is on my product red iPhone 12. Along with this update, we also got the release of iPadOS 26.3.1, macOS 26.3.1, and some other updates. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. So if I go into settings, about software updates, and we take a look at the build number, as you can see here, the build number is 23D8133. That is the build number for iOS 26.3.1. Now, as far as what's new in this update, well, the only main reason why Apple pushed this update out is for the new studio displays, though I want to talk about that in just a second, or I will talk about that in just a second. But I do want to mention about the new MacBook. This is the new budget MacBook. I will probably do a video at some point, maybe today or tomorrow. But this is called the MacBook Neo. And I'm guessing Apple chose that name because it is a budget MacBook. This MacBook starts at $599. If I'm pretty sure the chip they use is probably the Apple A18 or A19 chip. The M1 is not in this particular device. Now, if I take a look at some of the colors here, well, you see it comes in like a yellow color. If we take a look at some of the colors, we can get the new MacBook in, I believe this is called white. You also have pink. Then you also have yellow. And you also have a kind of dark blue color. I'm not sure specifically what Apple calls these colors, but this is white, pink, yellow, and a kind of, I would say, a grayish blue. Again, if you know what these colors are called, leave a comment down below. But that is the new MacBook Neo. But the main reason why Apple pushed out this update is for the new studio display. So that got released or will get released on March 11th. All of these products, including that new MacBook Neo, which is the new $599 MacBook, will get released on Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. And they will also go on pre-order today as well. Now, as far as my overall experience running iOS 26.3.1, well, if you do some scrolling here in the app library, so far it was a little bit laggy when I first booted up the device, but that always happens with every single update I've ever done on this device. It is laggy at first. That's because things have to index and sort of process in the background, so things can be a little bit laggy. But as far as my battery life with this particular device, if I go into battery health and charging, I'm not sure if this is a bug because I've used this charger for the past 2 days. It is saying slow charger, so that might be a bug in this particular update. But if I take a look at my overall battery health, you can see I've had 2 hours, 55 minutes screen on time, and 56 minutes of screen on time, which is somewhat incorrect, as I've been away from home for the past 6 hours. But if I take a look at yesterday's battery health, 7 hours, 6 minutes screen on time, 50 minutes of screen off time. And if I also take a look at sort of my overall battery health, my battery health is still at 80%. As far as when we can expect the next update, well, next week I would expect iOS 26.4 Developer Beta 4. And I will be installing that update. Now, what's interesting is I took a look at iOS 26.4 Beta 3 before I installed iOS 26.3.1. The update was around 10 gigabytes. Well, now, taking a look at iOS 26.4, the update size is now 8 gigabytes. So they've lowered down the storage. That might have been a bug for this device because this is a 64 gig iPhone 12. If I go into my storage, you can see I have 64 gigabytes, but I will be upgrading this device hopefully as soon as tomorrow. And if that is the case, you guys will have a new product review on the channel because I am planning on reviewing, hopefully, the iPhone 14 with double the storage of what this particular device has. But as far as any other updates, well, we are still expected WWDC invites, but we won't get those till like the end of the month. So probably around March 23rd is when I would expect invites to WWDC. That is when we will get iOS 27, and it will drop support for the iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Pro, iPhone 11 Pro Max, iPhone SE second generation, and it will also drop support for the iPad Pro 2018, third and first generation, 12.9 inch and 11 inch, and potentially the iPad Pro from 2020, the fourth gen model, 12.9 inch, and the second generation 11 inch model. So those will be dropped from the iOS 27 update, though there's also a good chance that they might stay. That is because iOS 27 is going to focus mainly on stability. But since we're talking about stability, there is a bug that has been on the iPhone for many, 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 many years. And I've covered it in one of my iOS follow-up videos. It is a camera bug. And Apple really, really needs to fix this bug. Let me explain what this bug is. So if I take a couple pictures here, let me take a couple of pictures. If we go into it here, and live mode keeps enabling, or live mode keeps disabling rather, but every time I take pictures, you see the lag in real time. And you see it's taking a couple seconds to scroll up here. So if we give it a second, you see that bug right there. That is the bug that Apple really needs to fix. That camera bug is really frustrating because whenever you take a picture or a couple pictures and you want to swipe up, it is terrible lag for just taking photos and swiping out of it really quickly. That is a bug that's, well, been on the iPhone for a couple versions of iOS. And I really think Apple should polish that. They should polish that up in iOS 27. In fact, I hope they polish that in iOS 27 because I am not a fan of that bug when I want to take a picture and swipe out, and it's incredibly laggy. That might be specific to older devices, but I feel like it's been on a lot of iPhones. And it might even be on the iPad as well. That is the one part of the iPhone that lags the worst. Even when the iPhone is at a cool, normal temperature, that alone will cause the iPhone to lag terribly. So I really think Apple needs to polish that in iOS 27. As far as anything else with iOS 26.3.1, well, it's a pretty decent update. If you enjoyed this video, Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I now have 500 subscribers on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and subscribe, and also follow me on Instagram as well. I'm Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.